like that. Okay, we are now in there, and I'm going to now click share my screen. Okay, welcome everybody today to the International Student Success Webinar Part 2, the solution here at English 3. I'm very excited to be sharing this webinar today. This is the first time, other than in private one-on-one meetings, that we are sharing our solution, our American Classroom Readiness course, and some of the things that we do over here in a public setting where anybody can access this, where our potential future competitors or existing companies out there that are in this space as well might see what we're doing. And we feel like we have invested quite a bit into this platform and system and the methodologies that we're doing, and we feel like we have a pretty unique solution that we very much welcome our competitors to take it and run with it and see what they can do to drive up the conversation everywhere. Competition always improves the product on both sides, but we're very excited to be sharing this today. My name is John Cheney. For those of you that don't know me, I looked at the attending list, and I know there are a lot of names there that I do recognize and that I have spoken with individually. I'm the vice president here at English 3, have been here a couple years, and really enjoy what we're doing here. Just a little bit of background. I came from just my previous position was at a company called Chegg or Zinch, which many of you may have heard of, which works with enrollment. They're an enrollment solutions company and a student-focused company. They also allow textbook rentals, and so I worked with the enrollment side of things and heard a lot of complaints, I guess, and problems and things like that in the international admission space while I was there helping schools recruit students, and that kind of set up my transition over here to English 3, and also drove a lot of the product design, and really I just came to English 3 and I said, hey, here are some problems I know about with international students. How can we address them? And with a lot of help from many of you, even on this call, and many other good friends I have in the admission space in higher ed here in the U.S., I've been able to learn a lot, and our company has done some pretty incredible things. So with that introduction, I should have had my picture up while I was talking here. So there's my email address. You will receive a recording of this webinar. If you are attending, or even if you're not attending, you will receive it later. During the webinar, if you want to share how awesome it is or talk about it, you can tag us on Twitter at English3_. Someone else stole the name English3 a long time ago, and we can't contact them, but that's what it is. And then we have the hashtag Elevate ISS, Elevate International Student Services, which is our theme for 2016. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time we're revealing that as well. So exciting month here in January to jump into our 2016 goals. For those of you that don't know, just a quick background on English 3, or E3, as this nice little symbol hopefully portrays. We have been around for about 10 years. 2006 was when the company was started, and so that makes this our 10-year anniversary, which is exciting. But originally the company was founded with more of a corporate focus on English training, focusing mainly on industry-specific training, working with companies like Intel and training them in computer-specific English and helping them be able to complete the tasks that they need for their employees that were, very industry-specific. And so we've had a lot of experience in doing that. We continue to do that, but we also now work more in the higher education space. We have 3 main products. I'm not going to spend much time at all on this. We help schools start ESL programs. We have many up and running, and we're in the process of helping many other schools start ESL programs or potentially improve upon what they already have. 2, we have an English proficiency test that competes with the TOEFL or the IELTS, and we believe is the most telling of whether or not a student is actually prepared for college work. I'm not going to talk about either of these products on this webinar today. If you would like to know more about either of those, please feel free to email me, and I will schedule a one-on-one time with anybody that requests a meeting. And then third is our American Classroom Readiness course, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Here's our agenda. We're going to start off just a little bit with problem and survey results. We gave a previous webinar that spent the entire webinar talking about that survey and the problem. And we'll just very quickly, in 2-3 minutes, review that to kind of set the stage. And then we'll talk about the American Classroom Readiness course and actually go into the system and give a demo of the product, which will allow you all to see what we do. Then we will share just a quick case study on the same American Classroom Readiness course that we'll be showing and sharing today. We'll also talk just a little bit about some of the improvements that will be seen next year, which are very exciting. And then, of course, Q&A. Now, Q&A, I want to be available throughout the entire time. If you look on your GoToWebinar screen, there are a bunch of different tabs and things that you can click on with audio and everything. But there's a chat box there, and you can type a question into the entire audience, or you can direct it, if you click on that little drop-down menu, just to the organizer only, directly to me, or you can talk to each other. But the point here is please interact should you feel the desire. Don't hesitate and say, oh no, he's in the middle of something. I will do my best, and I have one of my colleagues here who will make sure I see those questions if they do pop up. So with no further ado, we will jump into the problem and survey results. Again, quickly going through this part because we already gave this webinar, but again, just setting the stage. And this is a slide from that webinar, just showing a few different articles, Inside Higher Ed, Wall Street Journal, the PI News, which is Professionals in International Education, if you're not familiar with that publication. But the problem is all over the place. International students arrive and they struggle for a lot of reasons, right? There might be incongruity between what their actual portfolio says they should be able to do and what they can do. The ranking of a school is highly dependent upon how well an international student perceives they're being taken care of. And then there's English problems, of course, that plague international students. And we want to make this experience better for all involved, and we believe that through our solutions we can do some really nice things. This was a very striking statistic we received from our previous survey. I think there were about 50 or 60 schools that responded, so it was a pretty good size pool. The sample here. Do you believe international students are adequately prepared for the American classroom on day one? 90% no. That's a resounding answer. Why not? Why are they not? What do they have problems with? 100%. Everybody that responded to the survey said they have language deficiencies. That's a big deal to me. 100%. Plagiarism, huge issue. Unprepared for classroom culture, 71%, also a huge issue. Unaware of American culture, which is different than classroom culture, obviously. Still, half of them said, yeah, that's an issue. There's all kinds of problems with different cliques on campus and people trying to kind of staying with their own kind. And really what we want is a nice integrated system where everybody can celebrate everything that we do. Social problems, 36%. Retention, 34%. And I bet you if you asked the right people, retention would be a higher number. If you asked admissions and VP of enrollment people, that number, as they see their international students slip away because of all of these other issues, that certainly affects finances at the university. It affects enrollment, affects seats that could have been given to somebody else that might have been better prepared. And then there were many other issues that we won't go over today, but just a little snapshot of what that looked like. This was probably the same people that answered this question that answered the other one, 90 to 10. Have you ever had anyone complain about this, about international students and their unpreparedness? And 90% would say, yes, we have actually had complaints that, it's affecting our job, right? Because we're having to deal with it. And then again, very similar ratios here. Do you believe standardized English proficiency tests are reliable indicators of college success? Not. Please explain. And again, we won't go into the please explain part, but you can see that very few people really trust the tests that are out there. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but I don't believe it's all because of the English proficiency test. I believe it's because any English proficiency test is going to fall short in that international students need more than just some English skills to get by, and not just get by, but be successful and graduate with a very positive outcome and experience at the school. There's everything else that was mentioned in this previous thing, plagiarism and classroom culture and social problems. And there's obviously a lot of issues there that they're having to deal with and struggle with as they go through. So the experience has to be tough. So along comes the American Classroom Readiness course. Now, before I actually jump into the demo here, I want to share just for a minute how we came up with this. Where did it come from? Again, I mentioned before that we are a company that has, we're experts in teaching industry-specific and task-based learning, and we do it with a system called asynchronous video, which is really just a fancy name for video posting, and replaces the need for a live Skype call to do training. Very efficient, very effective, very engaging, and enjoyed by all who use it. I will demonstrate that technology here in a minute, but the way that we came up with this is we didn't sit down and say, hey, we've been doing this for a long time and we know everything. We went to people like you. Everyone on this call is in a position in a similar position of somebody we talk to say, hey, you're telling me that your international students aren't prepared. What does that mean? What should they be able to do that they can't do right now with the current system when they show up? And we got all kinds of answers. Students don't know how to raise their hand in class. They don't participate. They're not confident enough to even speak. They don't know how to lead a class discussion or a group discussion or give a class presentation. They have job interviews when they come in within the first few weeks, and they have no training in regards to that. All kinds of different issues. And so we took all of those and essentially picked the ones that came up the most and built what we're really good at, modules that help them master these skills, that allow them to practice in as close to a real life situation as possible, practice in a positive situation, I guess is the best way to say it, where they don't have all of this pressure from their peers and they don't have all the worries that they have in that real life environment. Let them practice, work out the kinks, and then be able to go into the classroom later on and do some amazing things. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to click on this little thing right here that's supposed to pull up a thing. Okay, there we go. That's what we're talking about. So let's see. Let's close out of this and just make this a nice clean screen for us here. Okay, we're going to use this course from Brigham Young University, their Masters of Public Administration, because we actually have permission to use this specific one and share some of the videos from the students, or at least you can see that they're there. I don't think we'll watch any videos today just specifically from the students, but we'll be able to talk about what they're doing. Now, I want to very quickly explain the methodology behind each task that they're learning. We want them to do a 3-step process that might have a few components to each step, but in general, we want to teach them a concept so that the students learn it. Then we want to give them an opportunity to practice it. Then we want them to teach it, right? So learn, practice, teach. Learn, practice, teach. That's what we're going for. And I apologize for a few little pop-ups. I have all kinds of notifications that come up on my screen that are hard to turn off. So bear with me there. So in this first section, this is just an introduction and platform orientation, right? Where they're going to jump in.
Welcome to English 3.
Hello, welcome to English 3. This is how you get around the platform, right? And so we're just giving a tour, right? Here's how you do it, and here's how you click. Here's how you post a video. Here's how it works, right? So we kind of just want to get them comfortable, and along with that, we want to give them. We want to say, all right, hey, let's click new post and submit a video. Name, where you're from, family, hobbies, sports, music, dream for the future. Things that are not going to be terribly difficult for them to talk about. And then we want them to respond with a video to other students in the group. In this case, all the students in their group. This was a fairly small group, about 7 or 8 students that participated in this small graduate program. So we then say, all right, now it's your turn. They're going to click New Post. We're going to do a little. I hope I did my hair today. So here I am sitting in my office. We've got this going. They're going to click New Post, click Record, and they're going to introduce themselves. Olubayo Olayemi is going to jump in and start introducing himself, and everybody else is. And you see there's this forum type discussion that begins, but all with video. So let's choose a good one. Where is Mei Chun? Here we go. So this is a girl. This is actually a kind of a VIP. She's the daughter of the Minister of Education of China. So quite a VIP in her own country, and of course at her school where she currently resides. But she comes in and introduces herself, and then people jump in, watch her video, and have lots to say. And then she responds back to some of them because they said something, and this person responds to this. So you get this nice discussion going. You can see there's actually a few replies here that aren't shown, but there's a lot of discussion going on here. You also have this guy right here, Matt Heiner. Sharp-looking guy, dressed up nice and professional. That is our master coach, Matt Heiner, and he is one of our teachers who's actually monitoring this course and responding to every single top-level video. So to each student, he'll probably respond to about 60 videos as he goes through the course. So quite a bit of, or whoever the teacher is. Matt is the one for this specific one that we use as a demo, but he's going through and making sure that this student knows that they're heard. He's helping them, guide them, making sure they're grasping the concepts, perhaps tweaking their English here and there. He's not going to dive into any major grammar lesson or anything too crazy, but he's certainly going to guide them and help them and give them the confidence they need to successfully complete all of these tasks, which will then translate into a much better prepared student, of course, in the classroom. So once you have seen one of these formats, right, with the asynchronous video where they have this 3-step process, learn, practice, teach, right? You've basically seen the whole platform. We're going through and we're constantly using this. Now, we work with some schools that have several hundred students. I mean, each one of these students is going to be recording about 150 videos as they go through the course. So easy math, take about 300 students times 150 videos. That's 45,000 videos that are going to be produced by that class of 300 students. 300 international students coming in, and then there's going to be all kinds of responses done to those, and feedback and interaction. There is a lot of data going back and forth, but most importantly, these students are opening their mouths and they're practicing. So their English is going to improve. So I'm gonna just leave that there for now and jump into the next section here. So there's several units here. We cover different topics. Culture is one of them that came up a lot, and we wanted them to understand the American education system, understand where a master's program fits in relation to a community college program, right? What is a community college? Many students don't even understand that, and so they're going to be going through and doing different activities. The course is absolutely customizable from school to school and even program to program. This specific program had their own video that, hey, what's a day or a week in the life of a BYU MPA student like, right? Here's the building they're going to be in. Here's some students that they're doing, and or that they're interviewing and being able to involve in all of this. And then they ask them, okay, so why did you choose BYU's MPA program? What are you most excited about? What cultural challenges do you think you will face attending an American institution? And they jump right in and they start talking about it. Now, this has a lot of purposes. Obviously, there's an English purpose because they're going to be talking and practicing, and that's a confidence issue. But man, this is a huge retention tool, right? You have these students coming in here and talking to each other, making friends, interacting, and talking about why they're super excited to show up. Let me pause for a second. For those that might not know, this is a course, again, it's online, and it's done from their home country typically, in between when they were admitted and when they arrive. So if school starts on August 15th or September 1st, we might have them start this on June 1st. And during June, July, maybe a 6-week period, it'll take them 40 to 50 hours to complete the course. So they'll go through and they'll be just engaged and they're talking to each other. When these students all showed up, they all went and gave each other big hugs and said, "Hey, May, hey, Olubayo, hi, Carol, hi, Jonathan. So excited to see you. So excited to meet you in person. I already know you. Let's get to work." Right? And they immediately jump in and they are friends with each other, which is a big deal. So one of the benefits, I guess, that I can point out here is the social aspect, right? You have that retention, but the social aspect where they come in and they get to know each other so well. Another school, which I think somebody is on from that school. I didn't check who's actually on, but University of Minnesota. Somebody from one of their programs told us that when they had their student orientation, the students just, they walk in the room and the students just all knew each other, right? And it was a totally different experience having everybody show up already, essentially acclimated, saying, "All right, what's next, teacher? Let's go. We know what we're doing. We know each other. We know how to work together. Let's go." So very, very exciting, and you'll see more of what they do in here to get to that point. But you can see that this interaction can be very beneficial. I'm not going to click on every single section here, but you can see that there are going to be, this culture of American education, American social culture. I will quickly jump into just another course to give an example of a few other things. The University of Wisconsin said, "Hey, you know what? This link on our website, first year students, first year success." They wanted them to have this top 10 tips for surviving and thriving in your first year on campus. Get involved, ask questions, make friends, study hard, have a plan, and they wanted them to talk about it. And now I'm not going to share any videos on here. It's actually set to private, but when they click new post in here, they're going to be able to go in and talk about all of those issues as well. Of course, things like academic integrity, plagiarism, proper citation. I know all of you that are sitting here on this call have experienced where an international student struggled with one of these issues. And it took time. It was tough for the student. That student might have had to get kicked out of the school and come back later or go somewhere else. It wasn't something that you enjoyed. And so our goal is to create a situation where that never happens. I'm gonna share a story from last week. I went to the NAGAP, the National Association of Graduate Admissions Professionals, Professional Development Institute, the PDI, last week in Palm Springs. Great conference, great people, love working with them. But I was sitting at lunch there were probably 6 or 7 people sitting at the table, and an individual from a school I won't mention just to keep the anonymity, but we were talking about student problems and how to overcome them. And the specific problem he had brought up was plagiarism. And he mentioned that in the last year, for some reason, amongst international students, there were 3 times as many plagiarism infractions in his program. And he didn't know why, and we didn't really talk much about that. But I was very interested, and I wanted to question him a bit on it. And so I said, okay, why did, we're going to call him Bob. That is not his name, but we're going to call him Bob so I can use his name, or at least a placeholder. Bob, why do you think that's happening? He said, I don't know. Maybe we just recruited a lot more students from countries that are tough. I don't know, And I said, okay, well, what are you doing to fix the problem? And he said, well, when they have the problem, we take, they have to go to the honor code office, or they have to, talk to academic integrity, and sometimes we have to have a disciplinary council or something like that to talk about these issues and decide how to move forward. And so, okay, that's after the fact, right? That's fixing the problem afterwards, and that's tough. We don't ever want to get there. What are you doing to prevent the problem? And he said, oh, yeah, well, we teach them about it in international student orientation. I said, okay, great. How do you teach it? And it's like, they go through a couple days orientation and we teach them lots of things. I said, no, tell me about plagiarism specifically. How does that skill or topic get covered in your orientation? What's happening? Is somebody standing up at a whiteboard? Or is there a PowerPoint? What's happening? He said, okay, yeah, there's a PowerPoint, and we have a bunch of students in the room, and he'll get up there and he'll talk about some of the issues and give an example maybe, and then ask if there are any questions, and one or two questions, and it's done. And I said, okay, great. How long is that experience? How long does that take? And he said, oh, maybe 10 minutes or so. And I said, okay, great. So in 10 minutes, you expect all of these international students who are most likely jet lagged, being bombarded with endless information about where's the bookstore, what do I do if there's an emergency and I get hurt, or what if somebody steals from me and I need to report it to the police, or what, all of these different things. How do I eat here in the United States? You're talking about all these other things in international student orientation. You breeze over plagiarism, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of problems with it, and you're surprised. So I've heard this story many, many times. By the way, I'm just using this Bob as an example, but this was the actual conversation that happened. I said, well, what about this? How about this for a solution? What if we had them go through, and you have every single student, all 300 or all 30 or all 5, go through and listen to a video, watch a video where we talk about plagiarism. What is plagiarism? Why is academic integrity important? And what does plagiarism have to do with that? What are the consequences if you do plagiarize? And then give some examples of what plagiarism looks like. Talk about all of that, right, in a video. Then we say, hey, we want to hear your opinion and make sure that you understand this. In your own words, please tell us what you think plagiarism is and why it is to be avoided here in the US. Not just avoided, but if you do it, you're probably going to get kicked out of school. Let's talk about that, right? So they'll click new post and they're going to record a video, 60 seconds to 2 minutes maybe, and they're going to talk about plagiarism. And then we're going to say, great, now watch 2 other students' videos and see what they said and give them feedback. Comment on what they said. Then we're going to have one of our teachers jump in, watch your video, and if you didn't quite get it, we're going to help you fix what you didn't catch, and then teach you. Or we're going to say, hey, great job, I agree with that, and this is one thing that you should do to make sure that you avoid it, right? Then we're going to teach you how to use MLA, APA, CMS, whatever types of citation your school uses. And you're going to actually practice it. You're going to have to do it. And then you're going to create a new post actually doing it in text, and then another video talking about what you did and why you believe this is going to be important in your experience at XYZ University. Okay? That experience right there is going to take them at least 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, and every single student, not just those that raised their hand or that were attentive during the orientation, which is maybe 10% of those students, everybody is going to have to record a video of themselves talking about it, saying that they understand it and demonstrating that they understand it. Then, if they do plagiarize, they can't fall back and say, oh, I didn't know, I didn't understand that, it's different in my culture. No, I have a video right here of you telling me you understood this. And that's not even the point, right? It's not to be able to catch them in the act and then show that they knew it, right? It's not that. It's the fact that they are going to actually learn the concept. They are going to internalize it by going through this experience of learning, practicing, and then teaching. That cycle, that learning cycle, is incredibly powerful. So that's just plagiarism, right? And by the end of that conversation, Bob said, let's work together. and I already knew him. We'd already been in discussions. But when we illustrated everything and laid it all out like that, he said, okay, this is a no-brainer. But every single topic that we go over, and I'll jump into the next section here, classroom discussions, every single topic, they will be going through that same experience. They're going to be practicing it and recording videos and practicing it and recording videos and practicing it and recording videos. And they're going to just repeat this over and over so that they can do what we at English 3 have done for years, teach people to be experts at specific tasks. In this case, developing on teacher comments, or disagreeing with teacher comments, or disagreeing with a student, right? Disagreeing with teacher comments. I bet more than half of your international students don't think in their first day of class hey, I'm going to disagree with my teacher today, or ever. I'm gonna talk back, or not necessarily talk back. Obviously, we want to teach them to do it respectfully, but and maybe that's what they're thinking. But we don't want these students aren't showing up saying, I am going to speak up in class, even, right? In China, in the Ukraine, in New Zealand, you sit there and listen to the teacher. The teacher is your elder. You respect them, and part of that respect is you don't talk back, you don't disagree, you don't argue, you don't debate, nothing like that. And we're definitely here not teaching students to argue. We're teaching them to respectfully disagree, right? Right? Respectfully disagree, and we're going to give them feedback and make sure that they do that, right? Professor looks at the class and says, vision is everything. If you don't have a vision, then everything falls apart. Respectfully disagree. Go for it. Try it. Let's see how you do. Let's give you feedback. Now let's try it again, right? And so they're going to have practice in a skill that is completely foreign to them. I need to share another quick experience I had a couple months ago. I think it was in November. I was sitting down with a director of international admissions that was a really good one. He knew his stuff. And one of the things that he does is he sits down with his students a couple weeks after they've arrived, 2 or 3 weeks after they've arrived, and brings them all together and just kind of has a Q&A session. Hey, how are things going? What questions do you have? What's been strange for you? And one of the questions he asked them is, how many of you were offended the first time somebody raised their hand in class? And he says about half, and this is 60 to 100 students in each thing. It's not just a few students. He says about half of the students raised their hand. They weren't just surprised. They weren't. It wasn't just a little weird to them. They were actually offended. They wrote home about it. Right? That's a big deal. And it was interesting for me to learn some of the countries that he said. He said any British-based system is gonna probably have that type of reaction. Asian systems are going to have that type of reaction. It's all over, right? But the point is, things that we take for granted here in the U.S. in our system that teachers just don't know, and the students certainly don't know. There's probably training that needs to be done on both sides, but here we're working with the students. They need to be taught that, hey, yeah, you can raise your hand in class, and it's okay, and in fact, I remember when I was in college, part of my grade was maybe 20% of it was a participation grade, at least in my upper level classes. I remember that for sure. If you don't participate, you're not going to get a good grade. So classroom discussions we go through. Now, since we're on this vocabulary piece right here, students can come through. Last year, we had vocabulary kind of riddled throughout the platform. We're actually going to change it this next year and actually create a separate course that they just click on to look at vocabulary, so it won't be in this material, but they'll still be able to go in there, do quizzes, use the flashcards, listen to the words.
Statistic.
You can't even hear that because it's too quiet. Let's see if we can.
Statistic,
right? And then they can record their voice. Statistic. Okay, that's a tough word for even me. There's games in here and things like that. So there is a vocabulary tool that can be actually customized. We have some programs that have actually asked us to put in, let's see if I can find a good custom list here, MBA specific vocabulary right here, where you've got company structure and employment vocabulary and finance vocabulary, a bunch of different sets. And, I bet most people could go through here and learn, hey, what's a balloon payment? What's benchmarking? But the point is, these students going into an MBA need to know these things ahead of time. And this allows the administrators to be able to quickly do that. So they go through classroom discussions, then they go into group work. Okay, group work is very similar to classroom discussions, but just in a little bit smaller setting. And so they're trying, the dynamics are a little bit different, and they're seeing examples of group discussions.
Hey guys, welcome.
Things going on right there. And then they get to comment and say, hey, what did I catch? What was different? What was unique? How is this different from what I would see in my own culture? Then they jump into, and I'm going to kind of lump job interviews and class presentations together because they're very similar in how we teach them. First we're going to show them how to do it as our model suggests. We're going to show them, or we're going to talk about it, perspectives, I guess. Then we're going to show them how to do it. Then we're going to have them do it. So in here, they're actually, doing a mock interview. And again, it's a one-sided interview here. let me share a little a piece that we're doing for next year. And I don't have it up here yet because we're not ready to share that with the public yet. It's ready and done, and I've used it, and it's really neat. But it's something called timed review. And it's patented, or it's patent pending, I guess is the correct term. But the point here is we have a new piece of technology where just imagine a video box right here at the top for this interview practice. And what will happen is they'll click start, and it will both record and play at the same time. It'll be playing a video of the other side of the interview. And so a face will come up and say, hey, how are you doing today? What's your name? Well, my name's John. Nice to be here. Tell me about why you think you're best suited for this position as an intern, a strategy intern in this program. Go. And they have to talk. And they'll know, okay, I've got 30 seconds, and they'll have a little timer counting down so they know how much time they have before the person's talking again. But it's going to mimic a real live interview, and they're going to be able to see what they're like in a real life situation and practice it. Then they'll be able to watch other students how they did and give feedback in the same way. So it's recording the entire thing, and then they're able to share it with other students. So very, very dynamic. We're excited about that. But the job interview section actually was the highest rated activity out of all that we did. It actually tied with culture, but they were the top two. They just were the most exciting for the students. You know, people go to school to get a job, and when they get to talk about the job piece, there's a lot of interaction. There's some really, really good interaction in these sections. I mean, look how many videos just are posted in this one. So if they go through there, they work on building your network. Classroom presentations, as I mentioned, very similar. Let's talk about it, let's observe it, and then let's do it. Okay, so they're going through and they're researching a topic, and these topics, by the way, can be customized by your own program, by your own administrators. Click new post, submit a video, introduce your topic, give your presentation, and conclude your presentation. Here's some things you want, some guidelines you want to follow. Now it's your turn. Go for it. And then the same process ensues. Then we have some reading comprehension where they're reading and then discussing and talking about some of those issues there. Nothing too complicated to talk about, other than that it is nice to see where the different conversations go, because we leave it very open-ended. And so every class will kind of talk about different things. And then we do have them do a final post at the end. One thing I want to bring up, as they go through, you might have noticed a couple of research papers at the bottom. We in this course, in last year's, in 2015's version, we had them write 4 essays. We want them to improve. What we want to do is we want to give a preview of just about everything. We want them to get a taste of just about everything that they will do in college, whether that's interacting with other students, doing class presentations, writing papers, but reading, writing, speaking, and listening are all going to be involved, and we want to make sure that we can start to help them use it correctly in those real situations. And so writing is definitely one of those that we focus on. Last year, we had them write 4 individual research papers, which turned out okay. They're pretty good papers, actually. If you go through and read them, they're okay. Some are better than others. This one's not as long as this one is right here. But we decided that it would be much more beneficial if we changed it to a more in-depth, hey, let's just focus on one paper. So in next year's version, to this year's version, I guess, 2016, in the first section, they're going to do a pre-write, right? They're going to pick a topic and they're going to do a pre-write. They're going to do an outline, they're going to put together a little diagram, whatever, and they're going to prepare for that. We'll teach them how to do that, and then we'll look at that and we'll give them feedback. Then they're going to do a rough draft in section 2. Then in 3, they'll do a second draft, and in 4, they'll do a final draft. And so instead of having these okay essays as they go through and, hey, great, you did some writing, right? We're going to make sure that they have one fully published, polished piece that follows all of the guidelines they're going to want to have in their, or they're going to want to follow as they go through their educational experience at your school, right? So they're going to do that pre-write, the drafts, and they're going to be getting feedback every step along the way. And by the end, they should have a good final draft with a bibliography, with no plagiarism, with none of those issues, and they will have a really solid piece of writing that they can look back on and be proud of, and they will have been through the process once, right? That's the important thing. They've been through it once. So that is a fairly quick tour through this. I want to share one thing that I'm going to pause my screen here just for a moment and pull up something that I was sent yesterday. Just a little sneak peek of something I thought was really, really neat. Let's see if I can find it. There we go, right there. Let's just pull this up. This is something that's new for next year. So let's see if I can share my screen again here. I've exited that platform. But one of the things that we really want administrators to be able to do is not only within the platform be able to monitor the students and see the students, but also be able to quickly look at dashboards and look at reports and things like that that are very easy to read. So here you can see you've got a bunch of different students. This is a new dashboard that shows that it's a percent behind distribution. We can see if people are falling behind and all of that. And see all of these students are, there's no problem students in this group that we showed here. 1% ahead, 7% ahead. Looks like these two students, 13% ahead and 13% ahead. They're doing really, really well. So they're kind of leading the class. But if someone were to start falling behind at this level or this level over here, then they would be distributed accordingly. And you'd be able to see, if you had hundreds of students, this would be filled with lots and lots of data, but you'd be able to quickly identify, and more importantly, we'd be able to quickly identify who is really falling behind and by what percentage and what they need to do to catch up. So let me pull up the other, the next tab over, which says completion distribution. And the completion distribution is pretty neat. It shows a nice little bar graph of kind of those same things, but it also shows projected completion time based on how much they're working on it and how much they have left. 66 days, 69 days, 58 days. And so you can very quickly look at, okay, how much further, and by the way, this says 66 days. This is a completely different course. This has nothing to do with the American Classroom Readiness. This is just a course we chose. I believe they're working on call center English in this specific example here. So we have programs that go, a few months in length. And so they're working on these. But the point is, we're getting some really nice reporting tools that will allow you as an administrator to very quickly get a snapshot, see where they are, and be able to log in and monitor. Now, at the same time, you will also be able, of course, to jump in and watch these videos. Many administrators that I've talked to have said, hey, we can use this in placement discussions and even in admissions discussions, right? If they're looking at it and the student is having more problems, then they can try to decide, hey, does this student need to go to an ESL program before they come here? And you could potentially catch students whose scores might not have been truthful, we can say. So that really is the most of the tour through it. I could get into some of the grading and some of the other tools that we have, but really what I wanted to share today was the platform, how it works, some of the things that we're doing for next year, which I hope I've shared a few of those things, and how we are moving forward to continue to alleviate these problems. I believe that every single student, I believe this very firmly, that every single international student should be required to take this course upon entry to the US. Their experience will be better in so many ways, socially, academically, skills-wise, culturally. They are going to be talking about issues that they currently have no way to talk about in this scale, right? There's no way to let 300 students in international student orientation all talk about every single subject and practice it for 40 or 50 hours. There's just no way to do it other than in a platform like this. These students are spending a lot of money to come over to the US. And they're expecting and hoping to be successful. And I believe it's our duty as their hosts here in the US to provide every tool possible. And right now there is nothing else out there. There's no other platform or program out there that does what we do. We know that people will try to build things to mimic us or probably try to do things different and better than us, and that's great. We welcome it. It will elevate international student services all around. And we will continue to innovate. This is what I'm showing you today, 2015's version. I did not share 2016's version so that we can keep at least something secret before we actually release it to everybody. But all of those on here that are that have used this platform and are already familiar with it, just know that we have some great things coming, and we'll be done with that really in about. Matt Heiner, who leads the development on that, tells me by the end of this week. Although I said that's great, we'll have it done by the end of next week. So it'll be very soon here. The point is, we are continuing to innovate and continuing to listen to all of you. We care deeply about what you have to say, what you have to share, and we are committed to listening to those things and implementing them as we see fit. So with that, I'm going to open it up to any questions, Q&As. You can type in your question. I wish we could hear your voices, or I could hear you. If you have anything specific that you would like to ask on this call, please type it in now. I'll wait about 30 seconds here, and if I don't see anything, then we'll go ahead and stop the recording and finish up. I'm sorry, before we finish up, we do need to do the last little piece of this. I totally forgot. As I was thinking about, okay, how do I close this out? I have to quickly share the case study, which I will do, and this won't take more than about 2 minutes. But this is from the same group that I just showed you. I wanted to use the same students, the same numbers. 40 students total in that group. Basically, it was combining that with a few other courses, but all from the same school. They'd spent an average of 61 hours spent on the course. This is going to be a little bit lower next year, just because of how we're rearranging things. It's just going to be a little bit more streamlined, and people will get things done faster. So that's a good thing. Be probably closer to 40 to 50. But some of the really important things that I liked here were 100% of students would recommend this course to other international students. They're clicking the like button. They like this. The students enjoy it. And at the same time, those same students said that their language and culture skills improved. All of them did. Everybody, regardless of how good their TOEFL was, whether they got an 80 or 116 on the TOEFL, every single one of them said they improved. I'm fluent in Chinese. If I were given the opportunity to go over to China right now and do some master's level or doctorate level program, I would be scared out of my mind. And I would be looking for something like this. I would want to be able to show up on that campus ready to go and understanding some of the things that might cause me to lose face, cause me to be embarrassed. So this system, regardless of how good their English is, they can come in, and even if they do speak English really well, then they can be a leader in the course, and they can help others progress through. And they can, if they understand American culture, then their comments when they share things are going to be different and from a different perspective. Everybody should take it. Everybody can take advantage. Again, I will send this out so that you can read some of these more, but they're all saying, I recommend it without hesitation. Very helpful. I was afraid, but when I took the course, everything went well. I gained confidence in my ability to speak in front of a large group of English-speaking people. I'll recommend this to other international students. This can prepare them for serious social and academic experiences. This was excellent. Especially helped my speaking and writing. So the students loved it. They have incredible feedback, and we're very excited to be at the forefront of this field, of this industry. There are, I actually do know that there are a couple other companies working on similar things, although I've looked at them, and I'm very confident we will continue to be the leader. So I thank everybody here for joining. I see some good names of good friends that have sat in on this today, and I hope all is well. Look forward to comments. Please send me an email if you have any questions, or if you want to tell me that I was terrible at what I did and should go home. But no, in all seriousness, I would love to hear what you have to say, and I hope you have a wonderful day, or rest of this Tuesday, and we will hopefully be in touch soon. Thank you so much. I'm going to end this recording now, and everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.